Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. A brand new week here today on the Cabral Concept. Glad you could join me for this Motivation and Mindset Monday. Excited to get into today's topic because it is going to be very straightforward. And I have no doubt that if you begin to even practice one or two of these examples on a daily basis, you will absolutely increase the amount of happiness in your life, the amount of good that you are drawing into your life, that you're attracting, as well as having a more overall positive mindset. And believe me, I believe that right now in this world, we all need a little bit more positivity. We all need a little bit more stress. And that is exactly what I'm going to share with you here today. Remember, all of these teachings have really been around since, I would say, well, close to the dawn of time, at least for the last we know for sure, at least through the last 6,000 plus years of civilization. And again, I know you might say, well, human civilization is millions of years old. I understand it. I get that. I know what you're saying. But from documented human history, so we don't know how far this goes back, we do know that there's a set of philosophies that, when followed, are universal. When followed, bring a greater amount of joy to our life, and they decrease the amount of hardship that we experience. And you might say, well, how is it possible to decrease the amount of hardship that we experience if we are moving through life and nobody knows what's happening to us and we're all on our own journey, etc.? I get it. I do. I honestly understand that. I've been there myself. But the way that we experience hardship is through a frame of reference in our mind. I know that we can universally say that the loss of a loved one or a breakup or any hardship, again, I don't have to go through all of them that you may experience, we would universally look at that as typically something difficult, right? As something that might bring us to a state of sorrow and disappointment and overcome and overwhelmed with emotion. And I get that. But I do want to look at this just from a certain standpoint, that it is also our mind and how we are framing it as always a bad thing, as a negative. It is possible, even for some of the most challenging parts of our life, to be looked at in a different way. Now, I'm not saying, and I actually don't believe, that you shouldn't experience all of the human emotions. I actually believe that that's not a bad thing. That I think that we all need to go through that. But from our day-to-day, our typical day-to-day, we need to find a way that we are in a greater state of joy, that we're a greater state of peace in life. And I think so many of us are missing that right now. So what I want to do is give you 10 ways to attract more good and more positivity into your life on a daily basis when one or all 10 of these things are practiced. Please let me know if you can think of any additional ones as well. I would love to read those in the comments. Feel free to leave them right below this video. So the first one is this. The first two are going to be my big ones. Okay, these are ones that if I forget it, all the other 8, I'm always going back to these first two. The first one is this. Okay. Give gratitude every single day. So thank God or the universe every morning and every evening. Okay, there's a couple parts to this. The first one is this. It is so difficult to truly be upset, to truly be in a low mood if you're giving gratitude for things in your life. So let's say that you maybe lost your job. Okay, not an ideal scenario, not an ideal situation. But let's step back for a moment. What can we give gratitude for? I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my energy. I'm grateful for having learned what I did learn from my past job. I'm happy to now have the opportunity to go out there and maybe find a better fit for me. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my family, for my relationships. I'm grateful for being able to exercise every day, and like all these things that you can give gratitude for. If you can do that, already you're going to start to raise your positive vibrations. And you're not lying to yourself. You're not kidding yourself. You're not happy that you lost your job. However, you are still grateful for everything else that you do have in your life. It's an amazing thing. And I was just about to say the second one, perspective to have. All right. So number 2 is this: use perspective. Whenever you're feeling down, again, it's not that you're not allowed to feel down. You are. You are allowed to experience that human emotion. What I don't want you to do is carry that forward with you every single day. That is not serving you. That is not serving the others in your life. And I don't think it's allowing you to do your highest level of good in this world. I just don't. So let's use perspective, all right? The perspective is this: whatever you have as a hardship, a challenge, an obstacle in your life at this moment, I want you to say, it could be a lot worse. I could be in this situation. I'm grateful I'm not in that situation. And again, you can apply this to literally anything in your life. I don't even want to give you an example, because what the example I want to be right now is whatever pops into your head, whatever gut feeling you get. What is the obstacle right now you seem to be dealing with every single day in your life, right? What keeps popping up over and over? Use that today as we're going through this show. How could it be worse? How can you give gratitude that it's not that you still have these things? And I love doing this every morning and every evening. Why? They are anchors for the day. I give gratitude the first thing to start the day, because I know that as I'm about to go into the world around me, that is not my own ecosphere, that I am going to be up against challenges at work, obstacles at work, questions that come up, again, whatever it might happen. I can't even name all of the things. I don't like to think the negatives that may happen, but when they come, they come. But I put myself in the proper perspective in the morning and then before I go to bed. Why? Those are anchors. I'm going to wake up with positivity. I'm going to go to bed with positivity. It's often why I watch a positive video, something positive, listen to a positive podcast in the morning when I wake up. And I do the same thing before bed. Why? So for the next 8 hours I'm in bed, I'm thinking of more positive thoughts rather than the news of everything that's going on. Trust me right now. Again, look, I have an Apple phone, right? I've got the iPhone 13. It gives me my little notifications. And I just look at the news for the day. I'm not clicking on these articles, but it pops up as a notification. And I see 5 headlines, and they are all sensationalism. They are all fractional. They are dividing people. You're either in this camp or you're in this camp. And the media knows what they're doing. That gets more clicks. So they are creating division in our world. They are not bringing people together. Rather than they are trying to separate people. Why? Because simply it's good to sell ads. That's just the way that it is. And they then fire people up, and then they take it to social media, and people are just acting too violently against each other, whether it be with words or whether it actually be with actions. Neither is going to serve you. So let's, again, as a general population, we're trying to be more positive. We're trying to be more helpful. We're trying to be just greater servants for each other, but at the same time, understanding that people are going to have different perspectives. They have different upbringings. They've come from different backgrounds, and that's okay. Imagine how boring the world would be if we were all literally the same. Literally, if we looked the same, if we acted the same, if we thought the same, you'd already know what the other person's thinking. It wouldn't be a good place to live at all. The third one is this: do something you love every day. One of the things that whenever I find myself in the grind, as they say, right? I find myself just feeling like, wow, this is just too much. It's overwhelming, whatever it is. It's because I haven't taken any time for myself. It's because I haven't stopped to say, hey, what is it that brings you joy? What is it that brings you back to childhood, that gives you that joy of being a child? What would it be? And for me, again, it could be multiple things. And that's why I try to get those things in. I've always loved to read. Again, not everybody does. That actually brings me joy. I enjoy that. And the another one is exercise. I've always loved exercising. For me, it was a solace. Like it was a place to escape my poor health. I would go to the gym and I would exercise, and at least temporarily, I would get a boost. I would feel good. And so I've always carried myself and my philosophies around making sure that I exercise, not to look a certain way, but to actually feel a certain way. And so what I say for you is like, are you doing something every day that you enjoy? It doesn't need to be 3 hours. Can it be 30 minutes for yourself? Upon waking, at lunch, mid-afternoon, when the whole family goes to bed, like take 30 minutes for yourself. Do something that you really enjoy. The fourth one is this: forgive yourself, and forgive yourself. I'm telling you right now, we hold so much shame, so much guilt for things that we've done in the past. The problem is this: we all make mistakes. We've all done things in the past we don't like. And the reason is this: we didn't have the same perspective that we have today. We didn't know what we know today. And the problem is you can't fault yourself or anyone else for not having today's perspective in the past. How can you get mad at yourself for in the past, right? Because that's what you're really doing, for not knowing, for not having the knowledge. You can only know what you know, right? And you can't go back and correct those mistakes now. You can just say, listen, I'm not going to make those mistakes going forward. So I think we need to be a little bit gentler with ourselves. I think we have to be a little bit more forgiving with ourselves, because you don't have all the information when you're making your current decisions and taking your current actions, right? So if you say something, you write something, you do something, you only know what you know in this moment. You'll know more in the future, but you can't apply that to today. So again, you don't have to be happy with a mistake that you've made in the past, but you have to forgive yourself and simply say, I didn't know what I know now. I'm not going to make that mistake going forward. I apologize. I forgive me. You're the one who needs to forgive you. Really, nobody else. You need to forgive you. And the fifth one is this: tell someone else you forgive them. And if you can't do that, and they can't forgive you for an argument or some dispute you had a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, at least speak with them and say, listen, we both feel that we were correct. At this time, we need to agree to disagree. I still think that we can move on past this, that we can get back to having a friendship, or at least not holding a grudge. And I think that that is a very powerful thing to do. One, you are allowing them to move past it. But two, you're allowing yourself to move forward as well. So do forgive someone whenever possible. Or at least on your end, say, you know what? I said some things that I didn't mean or may have been misconstrued, and I can see how they were thought to be that way. And here's why I did it. I'm not saying it's justified, but this is what I was thinking. I want to apologize for that, especially since I know that it caused you so much hurt. It's just a kind thing to do. Now, that person doesn't have to reciprocate, but guess what? You rose above. You took the higher road, and you'll remember that, and that will clean your subconscious. The sixth one is this. Goes back to what I do, right? Goes back to what I preach. If you want to increase positivity in your life, if you want to be able to attract more good, you need to be in a good mood. You need to have energy. I mean, this is what I talk about all the time. My life is radically different today than from the age of 17 to 27. Why? Mainly because I have energy in both body and brain. Back then, I struggled to get through life. I was a walking zombie from when I woke up till about 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. I was literally brain fog, no clarity of thinking, had to caffeinate my body just to try to make it through the day. It was an awful way to live. And then at night, I'd be exhausted all day, but then at night I couldn't sleep. I mean, it was a miserable existence. I had a low mood. I was irritable. I was overwhelmed. I was depressed. I was anxious. I'm the exact opposite of all those things now. I'm happy. I'm energetic. I feel great. I try to share that with others. I'm able to do more because I have more to be able to give, and that's because I have energy. Please look at underlying health-based issues. look at toxicities, look at deficiencies, eat good, clean, whole foods, right? Don't deprive yourself of one macro group like carbohydrates just because the latest guru says that you should only eat, raw meat or whatever it is, all right? So let's be careful. Let's be careful with what we're putting in our body because we need that to fuel our existence. Number 7 is this, super important as well. Get outside and get some sun. Please be careful with dermatologists and other recommendations that you need to lather on a pound of sunscreen every time you leave the house. Just be careful with that. Most of these sunscreens are completely toxic. I have non-toxic recommendations on my resource page on my website, and you can definitely check that out. There's a time and place to wear sunscreen. There without a doubt, because you don't want to get a sunburn. But you do need to experience the sunlight. The sunlight is good for our mood, our neurotransmitters, our body, our mind, producing vitamin D for our health as well. Really important. Get outside, get some sun, and ideally have some fun at the same time, right? Go for a bike ride, go for a walk with your dog or with your kids. Get outside, breathe some fresh air, as fresh as you can get it, and enjoy, smile. Put on some binaural beats on our new app. Do something to enliven your spirit. The 8th one is this: put away your phone. Put away your phone at strategic times during the day. Going outside and walking your dog, put away your phone. Going outside with your kids, put away your phone. Going for a bike ride, don't strap it to the front of your bike so you can see all your messages. Put it away. All right? That includes your Apple Watch notifications and more. There has to be times where you unplug. There has to be. We've pretty much always had a rule in my house. It used to be 8 o'clock, and it's still basically 8 o'clock at night. We put away the phones. That's it. Put away the phones. And that's honestly the bottom line. Things may pop up or whatever it is, like certain circumstances, but not on a daily basis. So we've always had, before we had kids, it was laptops closed at 8 o'clock. Now that we have kids, it's, that's basically it, is when I get home for dinner, phone's away. Am I going to check it to see if there's any work messages or things like that? Sure, I will. But the phone's away. And if it's not an emergency, if it's not something I need to respond to, which is like 90+% of the time, it's it. I don't need to do anything with it. That's all that it is. Unplug, get away. And then after, like when my girls are going to bed, that's it. Phone's away. It's done. And then that's my wife and I's time. Like that's the way that it has to be in order to not be in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response all the time. All right. Number 9 is this: call someone and tell them you appreciate them, or write them a nice message. If you can do this just once a day. I mean, think about all the people you know. Maybe you know 50 people. Maybe you know 100 people well enough to be able to text them or call them. Think about that, what that will do if you just say, hey, was just thinking about you. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be corny or whatever you want to call it, but just think about it. You could literally text someone, hey, and just put the person's name in. Hey, Mary, was just thinking about you here today. I, was going to my favorite coffee shop. I remember we went there just, a couple months back. Miss being able to hang out. Let's see if we can catch up soon. Like just something kind, something nice, or give them a compliment. Hey, was just thinking about you, because it's just a nice icebreaker. Always love your take on this, like whatever it might be. Give them a nice little compliment. Tell someone something nice on a daily basis. It could just be walking into a coffee shop. Hey, it's great to see you again. I always love coming in here, love seeing you smile, or, whatever it might be. You can always share that with them. And they're just kind things to do. You literally make the person's day. I'm not looking for it, but whenever someone says like, hey, it's good to see you again. Wow. And they say something kind, I'm like, that person literally just made my day. And we're all like this. It's always nice to hear kind things. All right. The last one is this, and I love this one. It's the law of expectancy. I teach this in IHP Mastery. I've taught this many, many times. Expect good things to happen. Expect good things to happen in your life. Too many of us expect the worst to happen in our lives and the lives of others and the world around us. The law of expectancy is that you're going to get more of what you think about the majority of the time. If you're thinking positive thoughts, you get more positive things. There will be some negative. You don't control everything. But if you think more positive and you believe more good is going to happen, the majority of the time, that is what is going to happen. So remember, all of this is really about getting out of your own head, out of your own negativity. And this is a big part of the secret. This is a big part of the secret to being happy in life, is to get away from limiting beliefs, to provide more service to others, and to expect good things, expect miracles to happen in your own life. You won't always know literally how they're going to happen, but if you believe, they will happen in some of the most unexpected ways. Hopefully today's show was helpful. I appreciate you. I truly do. Thank you so much for tuning into the Cabral Concepts, and I'll be back tomorrow with another Cabral Concept podcast. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.